Welcome to Listen Bitch Presents Tell Me Why You're Special. This is the arena where we don't just talk about success, we talk about survival. Because the truth is, some people build their wisdom in classrooms, some people build it in boardrooms, and some people build it by living through absolute chaos. The mistakes, the parties, the bad decisions, the close calls, the reinventing. Life has a way of teaching lessons whether we're ready for them or not. And if you're paying attention, sometimes the messiest chapters become the most available chapter. And it's not because they're pretty, it's because they're honest. So today, we're going to talk about adversity, anxiety, addiction, combat sports, documentaries, second chances, and what happens when someone turns a wildlife into meaningful stories. Today's guest is Jeremy Norrie. He's an award winning filmmaker, former concert promoter, cannabis industry pioneer, combat sports journalist, and a man who's lived enough stories for 3 lifetimes. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming into the hot seat. First of all, you sound like very busy, so I'm honored you took some time out to hang out with us today. When you look back at the wildest version of yourself, what was that guy actually searching for?
Oh, wow. What a question to start out with. Okay. Wildest thing, the version of myself. I guess I was searching for happiness in a way. Um, you know, Pleasure, comfort, a lot of the things that society tells you will make you happy. And I think achieving a lot of those goals and then not feeling the gratification that you thought would come with that
Mm.
is one of the things that kind of makes you search for something more than what society talks about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What did the bullying and adversity that you experienced, what did that teach you about human nature?
Oh yeah, all of that kind of stuff. It teaches you about what humans are like, and then you'll do it yourself. And then that is a whole other experience of kind of being on the other end and feeling like the power and how good that feels to be mean to others or be in a position where you can be. And all of that stuff, it makes you kind of search within. I suppose for different people, it means different things. But for me, you know, I know what it was like to be bullied and to have it hard. And growing up, I I was shy and quiet, and my dad's from Scotland, and I was growing up in California, so it was really different than
Yeah.
anybody else who was in my class at school and all that. And it all played out in like making me ostracized from the group. So I knew what it was like to be on the outside and to experience what those emotions are like. And so when I have been able to be on the other side of that, I try to include people more, and I try to kind of be more mindful of those kind of things, and then less influenced by how important it is to be one of those people, because eventually I kind of learned to like being different from everybody else.
Yeah. I love that. And I can very much align on that lesson as a kid who was bullied. It's nice because we could come back and just see the big picture of all of that and who really spoke to the kids that were hurting, right? Like, because healthy, healed kids, like good, you're not going to bully people for no reason, right? Just all of that, I think is great. And that's why someone like me can have a show here to highlight, the great parts of the human experience. Looking back, Jeremy, when did anxiety kind of start to show up in your life?
Oh, I suppose it's been part of my life ever since I was young, but I don't think I was interpreting it quite the same way as when I got older. And I think that society kind of tells you a lot more about anxiety than when I was young.
Oh, yeah.
I remember feeling like I was going to be sick every morning before school and not wanting to go to school and then having to go anyway. And thinking back on that now, if I were waking up and feeling sick like that before I had to do something, I'd be trying to like eliminate that thing from my life
Oh, yeah.
probably.
Right.
And I think you're supposed to feel anxiety doing certain things, and it's part of what inspires you to be better and
Hmm.
to deal with certain things in a better way. And now I recognize it a lot every single time I do something new. I get those butterflies in my
Yeah.
stomach, and I feel that same kind of uneasiness
Yeah.
that makes me want to quit or not do the thing
Mm.
that I'm trying to do. And so it's such a good feeling when you've overcome that and then you've done the thing. And these can be small achievements in life, and society and the way that all of our kind of technology and everything works is towards making everything easier and more comfortable, and you never have to experience any of that kind of stuff. Maybe even you take a pill so you don't have to experience
Yeah.
anxiety. And I think the large majority of that is unnecessary. It's good for us to experience it and deal with it in our own ways.
I love that. And I mean that kind of prompts another question for me is like if you really look at society right now, I mean so many people are using that distraction to just really avoid themselves, and it comes in pills, alcohol, sex, whatever. I mean there's so much out there. I mean just doom scrolling alone. um why do you think so many people are still struggling with that? Do you think they're just really they don't get it? Because you get it, I get it. What's the difference?
I think there's a couple things playing a role in this, and like, let's not forget they allowed the manufacturers of these things to make them as addictive as humanly possible.
So
There,
much research and money gone into
yeah,
that.
there's been games that have been made illegal because they were too addictive. And if you have a phone with one of those games on it, your phone's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that kind of shows you that they know where the bar is to a
Yeah.
certain degree, or they've decided this is too far and then this is okay. And we have sports betting now. We have all these different things that all play this role in like controlling us. Social media, like you said, it's all attention. And if it's free, then you're the customer or you're the product, right? So all of it is like trying to get your attention and trying to get your money and trying to get everything that they can. And they're providing very flashy things. We're also learning a lot about humans and how simple it is to distract them
Yes.
and what they like to be distracted by. And it's all kind of a race to the bottom in many ways. You
Yeah.
can kind of become mindful about these sort of things and avoid them to an extent. But I mean, I still have to use social media
I know.
for marketing my
Yeah.
documentaries and whatnot. And so, do I find myself getting caught up in these other things? Often I do. Do I find little like side effects, like maybe my vision might be getting affected by this?
Yeah.
Like, what are all these other things that I'm dealing with in the grand scheme of all this? And
Yep.
uh, how is it affecting my overall health? We keep learning all these interesting things. I've done a few alternative medicine projects,
Yeah.
and being outside at sunrise and seeing that early light is like healing for your eyes and for your skin and for all kinds of things. Walking barefoot on grass or soil, and this is a grounding effect, and it's measurable health benefits from these things. It seems like we're learning the further we get away from like traditional lifestyles,
Yeah.
the more unhealthy it is for our bodies. But we're all trapped in like this kind of direction of this
Yeah.
is where the money is at. And
Yeah.
so that's where they're pushing us.
I have a whole other show about the rebellion to get out of the trap because I think, even just with healthcare and with all these things. And I mean, I literally shared a meme yesterday about, this guy who I follow him and he lifts like he's into weights or whatever. And he's like, there's these are the people telling me what health is. And he literally just showed pictures of every health leader in every country. And they're all just fat and unhealthy, all of them. And I'm like, that's the model that's being set up for us right now. We have to separate ourselves from that. And what you're saying about just getting back to that basics, I know it's cheesy, but it's a very simple thing that I do every single day to be out barefoot. I have cats, I do litter boxes every day. I don't care if it's raining, snowing. I live in Michigan. If it's icy, I walk barefoot and I take the long way to go take kitty litter to the dumpster. It is a very simple little thing, and I cannot tell people how having done that for years how much it changes you, and get the sun. I live in Michigan and people are like the sun's not out very often. babe, you maybe not be able to see it, but it's there. Like, get outside. So I love that advice there. Um, you've lived through some wild environments. Which one of those situations came close to breaking you?
Oh God, that would be my drug days. So
Okay.
I was selling drugs and being fairly reckless with consuming drugs and not eating healthy. Then
Yeah.
that was probably the big lesson that I didn't even realize at the time was how all these combinations of terrible things, not sleeping great, it's all the stuff I was just talking about basically.
Yeah.
And being young and kind of fragile and feeling kind of falsely confident about how everyone else can do all this stuff.
You think
So
you're
I can be
invincible.
healthy enough to just do all this stuff too.
Hmm.
And having to deal with like health consequences in my early 20s and still wanting to experience being a young person in my early 20s.
Yeah.
So it was a balancing act. And, you know, there was a lot of great moments, but a lot of like moments I regret or look back on kind of negatively that I could have done
Yeah.
better if my health would have been better. And so many
Yeah.
opportunities and moments from my past that I missed out on because of bad health.
Yeah. I see that. And I think it's one of those big lessons because here you are just helping other people to lock in, right? To get over the things. We kind of go through the dumb stuff to help other people maybe skip those steps. What's the biggest misconception, Jeremy, that people have about that party lifestyle?
Oh, I think that it's like falsely gratifying, right? So it seems like you should feel very fulfilled by partying and doing a lot of that stuff. And, you know, I will also say there is a value to it. The value isn't 0%, you know, but there's also kind of an overvalue to it where it seems so very important, but you're kind of chasing the dragon, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
you'll go out to a party and it'll be a really wonderful, fun time. You'll take drugs or, you know, drink or whatever it is that you're doing. And you'll have dance even. And then you'll have a really good time at these
Yeah.
parties. And maybe you'll make friends and it'll be this loving moment and all of these positives, you know, super positive. And you'll want to have that over and over again
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't last, you know.
Yeah.
Once it's over, you know, that moment happened, but you're left kind of wanting more of those moments or
Mm-hmm.
trying to recreate those moments maybe. So it can be this thing that's ultimately never satisfying. And then you're constantly taking risks in a lot of these behaviors. So is the risk worth the reward? A lot of times it's not. I do think it's important to live life and be young and do crazy things
Yeah.
and
Make
have
mistakes.
all of those experiences. You don't want to be an old person trying to live like a young person.
Mm-hmm.
That's also not good. So there's balance is built into life. It's something I always say. And so uh, the misconception is that the goal is going to be so gratifying. A lot of times it's the journey. So make
Yeah.
sure you enjoy all of the moments that are leading up to this thing that you think is going to be so good at the end because it might not be as good as you think.
Right. That's some great advice there. And you're talking about risk. So, doing the drugs, partying, all of that's a risk. Did you trade that risk for the combat sports, or how does that come into your life? And what has that taught you?
Yeah, that's like one of those things that's kind of oddly healing. So, from the outside, combat sports look extremely masculine and maybe meat-headed and
Mm-hmm.
violent and simplistic in a lot of ways. But and sometimes fighting is that way. But when you get into martial arts, there's a lot of other things that are going on with the practice of various martial arts. Some are a little more meatheady than others, but there is a lot of respect. And when you are competing against someone else in that kind of uh, physical way, it helps to eliminate ego. It helps to really create all kinds of beneficial things that you wouldn't expect mentally and physically. And so for me, I found martial arts kind of just being into crazy things and wanting to see real stuff. I was into wrestling to a degree,
Yeah.
but I wanted it, I hadn't really experienced enough in my life to see a lot of like crazy fighting. I saw fights sometimes at parties, and that was kind of oddly exciting. But you wanted to see something more real, and then boxing wasn't what it wasn't gratifying like that. You'd
Yeah.
see a lot of decisions, and I couldn't go out and see the best boxing fights the way I would want to. And so UFC was in these like video sections that were crazy, and I started getting them. And then as you became a fan of it, then you started kind of like these side effects were all these beneficial things, like, oh, look at like the way these guys are training. Oh, like, and at first it wasn't quite like that, but then eventually it became more and more real athletes and a real sport. And as that became a thing, all these other beneficial things became a part of it. And that's partly how I healed a lot of the things that were wrong with me from my 20s, is learning different things about eating, hearing about like beneficial things that you can do, training and doing like taking little bits and pieces of all those things and using it to heal myself.
Yeah. I love that. And it kind of comes full circle with just anxiety too, because I imagine that's scary shit that you're stepping into. Like, getting into a fight is scary. And then you do your thing and then you're like, okay, well, I didn't die. So it kind of makes the next scary steps easier. Different scary. Like for me, obviously scary is pressing record on a podcast. That's terrifying. So I respect the scary that you do. I think it's amazing. Why do you think people are, and I am one of them, like we're just fascinated with the stories of struggle and redemption. We're after the underdog.
Well, in documentaries, that's one of the things you learn first, is that the story you're trying to tell, and in most movies also, is the hero's journey. And so the hero's journey is you have to attach yourself on emotionally to some sort of a character. You kind of want to be emotionally invested in what's going to happen to this person or dog or whoever the character is.
Yeah.
And you want to see this character now face adversity of some kind. So almost always, there's some sort of challenge that the character is facing, and then they either overcome that challenge or they, are a victim of it, or whatever happens in that story, they deal with the adversity, and you watch that play out in their story, and that's what humans attach to because that's what we all do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has some sort of a story, and your story is some version of the hero's journey,
Yeah.
and you faced some kind of obstacle or something in your life that resembles this kind of pattern. And so you kind of subconsciously attach yourself to these things. And uh, a lot of times the character is affectionate to you because of something that's happened in your life or your personality or somebody that you know or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really a big secret. We're all humans and we all have these kind of subconscious things that if you start learning about, you can almost make people do what you want. I did a documentary about brainwashing and mind reading and influence. And a lot of that is really simplistic techniques that people can use and companies use to help influence your decisions. So we're all real simple humans,
Yes.
and just a pattern of behavior.
Two things. One, I need you to send me the documentary so I can manipulate my audience to doing what I want them to do. Second, you said something that I think has been like the core of my message. You said everybody has a story. Can you just repeat that very simply one more time? Because maybe if they hear it in your voice, it'll resonate.
Absolutely. Doing documentaries and the way that I do them, I don't have any boundaries. I'm not only interviewing celebrities or athletes or something like that. So I'm talking to all kinds of regular folks. And as you do that, you start to realize, wow, some of these people have the best stories, even better than people I might have paid to interview.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson in life, is that so many people, when I've tried to talk to them, they are apprehensive. They don't
Yeah.
think that they have a story, or they're kind of thinking what I have to share isn't important or
Yeah.
whatever. They're downplaying it. But we all have something valuable to share. And I think in doing things like talking on podcasts and sharing your story by doing anything, it really helps you to kind of get gratitude for your own life journey. And that helps you help other people too. So we all have a story, and share your story.
Thank you for saying that. That is, I have everybody on the show. I mean, I've had so many different people, and it really has been a gift for me. Like, I learned something with everybody that comes on here. It's a very selfish thing. And I didn't realize it would end up being like that. But now it just makes me, I just look at everybody and I just see a story now. Like, I don't, you're a mom, cool, great, come talk about it. And they're like, no, 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 it's not as flashy, it's not as cool, right? I'm laughing because I'm a Hallmark movie junkie, and I got to have the producer of a lot of Hallmark movies on my show. And so I've met a lot of famous people, and I've been like, put the Hallmark director of those movies, and I'm like fangirling now and breathing like crazy. But it was that moment. But it's every single person, and I just don't think they understand. It's kind of part of that human experience. It's the point of our humanity, so that we can all be relatable, so we can help the next person get to the next spot. And your voice will never be the same as my voice, and my voice will never be your voice. And if we're telling different stories, we're reaching the right people. If you tell stories and I stay quiet, people are missing the magic of life and connection. And like, we just throw the phones away and take social media off, and like just get back to like, let's humanize each other. Tell me your story. Why are you the way you are? I love that. So these documentaries that you have done, I mean, you've gone from combat sports to Bigfoot. um what has been the funnest documentary you've done, and which one has been the hardest?
Most fun, that's a tough one. I've enjoyed quite a lot of them. I really like van life and outdoor adventuring. And so doing that, I shot this documentary that was at a van life festival over the course of a few days. And I kind of had to like go to a few other festivals before I felt comfortable like approaching them to do
Okay.
the film at their event.
Yeah.
And so I really loved going to all those festivals and like traveling across multiple states and going to national parks and all that kind of stuff. What an awesome lifestyle that is. And that movie I thought came out great. I broke all kinds of filmmaking rules in making it, but
Nice.
we're proud of it.
Yeah.
And that would be one of the most fun. The UFO stuff is fun too. I
Yeah.
love going to the UFO conventions and talking to all those kind of people. But I think the van life one, if I had to choose, that would be the most fun.
Yeah. That's fabulous. Tell me about the Bigfoot documentary.
Oh yeah, those are some of my most popular. It's really surprising to me that out of my top 10, many of
Yeah.
those are Bigfoot or cryptid
Mm-hmm.
topics. So we also have Dogman, which is like a Bigfoot adjacent type of thing.
Yeah.
And doing those stories is fun too. I'm more of a believer when I first started doing them than I am now. Now I'm kind of frustrated with a lot of the Bigfoot stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the more popular things that have been coming out are debunking storylines. There's one that just came out recently that essentially proves that super popular Bigfoot video was a hoax. And they have
Uh,
the costume, and
mm-hmm.
all the Bigfoot people are in an uproar about it. So, and then there's a lot of videos that I've been like somewhat convinced by and thought, oh wow, is this real?
Yeah.
And then in talking to them, some of them are their worst enemies. They're debunking some of the other Bigfoot enthusiasts. So that's really frustrating. I love the topic. I
Yeah.
love the history of it.
Mm-hmm.
where there's all these Native American stories. There's stories from all over the world about these like hairy, large men,
Yeah.
humanoid, ape-like type people in the woods or
Yeah.
forests, and there's so many varying like physical differences to them where it seems like individual stories, not just copied stories.
Yeah.
So that leads towards something being real or true,
Yeah.
but we still don't have great evidence. And so the
Right.
challenge is to the community to come up with much better evidence. Look at all the stuff we're getting in the UFO world.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff we need from the
Yeah.
Bigfoot world.
Well, now it's a little nerve-wracking because of so much AI stuff. Like it is so frustrating because I feel like now my brain is just like it's fake. Everything's fake. It's fake. It's fake. So I think that would be frustrating, but you're a believer Bigfoot's real.
Well, I hope. I haven't been proven that
Yeah.
Bigfoot's real. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence that leans towards something real. And
Yeah.
so I'm hoping that someday one of the stories,
Yeah.
Yeti, skunk ape, one of these Bigfoot things
Yeah.
becomes true.
See, I do think that Bigfoot exists and I think that we should leave him alone because look what we've done to our own like look what we've done to our people. Like just I'm rooting for him to elude everybody forever. You know, whatever Bigfoot really is. I mean, I do believe I've, searched the ancient stories and what tribes have said and I read that stuff and I just think like we would ruin it. Everything cool
How
we
we ruin
find,
everything.
we ruin everything. So, well, long live Bigfoot. However you're eluding them, continue to do that. So I get that. Um, can we talk about plant medicine a little bit?
Sure.
You're a
Yeah.
fan of that, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I've just finished a series of interviews on alternative medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a couple older documentaries where we did psychedelics in medicine and macrodosing versus microdosing, which was an interesting conversation. And so through all of that, I mean, now I have these ones that are coming out where I interviewed a ketamine clinic,
Yeah.
and I was able to kind of do some other things in that world of alternative medicines
Mm-hmm.
where I did a Cambo session, which is like a frog venom. They burn into you.
Oh wow.
You just vomit. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about all kinds of
Yeah.
different alternative medicine. Some are very traditional, like red light therapies
Mm-hmm.
and what have you. So it was a great experience. And wow, the world of alternative medicine. There's
I
so
know.
so many people interested in these things.
Yeah. No, I've been an advocate for psilocybin for 4 years now. Microdosing it. I've never done the big thing. That was never for me, but microdosing it, like I could just say literally saved my life. I
Okay,
drank too much alcohol. I was not okay. I was super depressed. Like the list can go on, Jeremy. We could have like a
sure.
3 hour long talk about that. I started microdosing and I don't even, it's crazy how it just flipped everything around for me. And I'm forever going to be grateful to that experience. And I haven't had to go back. I microdosed off and on for a couple of years, and I just am a different person. Like the neuroplasticity that it provides, it turned me into a brain nerd. So I had to go, take some neuro classes just to figure out. Like I'm obsessed now because I think people just don't understand the magic in that, and it's very frustrating. It's frustrating
Sure.
because I'm, trying to get people access to it and people are freaking out because it's not legal. And so I've
Yep.
signed a bunch of petitions. It's just frustrating. Like it's a plant. And the only reason that they're not giving us access to this plant is because of the healing powers. Like it is an incredible tool.
So I have a controversial thing to tell you about that
Yeah.
brought up during my documentary by one of these um, mushroom experts. I forget what.
Okay.
Um, but they brought up. So there's a lot of anecdotal evidence. A lot of people who have taken microdoses
Mm-hmm.
say exactly what you said.
Yeah.
It's extremely prevalent. It's prevalent to the point where it seems like proof, right?
Yeah.
But it was brought up to me that there's no measurable evidence that microdosing works. I wanted to know, did you feel it when you took your microdoses or did you not feel it at all?
I didn't feel anything. Like
So you
I
didn't
felt
feel it
like
at
a
all.
warm hug. Like
Oh,
it,
that's so interesting. So
yeah.
this is what one of the experts was explaining to me, is that she wants to find the evidence. She's
Hmm.
a proponent of psilocybin and building labs and doing all this
Yeah.
alternative medicine stuff. She's one of the experts in the field. But she believes that you get more benefit by doing a macrodose once or twice a year
Yeah.
than you would get by doing microdosing. And her argument was that scientifically,
Yeah.
when you're studying microdosing, there's no measurable benefit to doing it. You're not seeing any sort of growing of the telomeres or any of those
Yeah.
things that do happen during macrodosing.
I could see where that would be controversial. I could see how, I mean, I've seen what macrodosing does for people. I've just always been that person. Like, if I don't feel like myself, I freak the hell out. I can't even smoke weed. Like, I tried for
Oh, I get it.
anxiety. Like, I just freak the hell out. So I'm like, I have to do something I can't really tell I'm taking. But I feel like if she would have done a study on my brain. Like, let's look at Brandon's brain and how it lights up right now. Let's look at it 6 months from now. The only thing she's doing is microdosing now. Like, there's significant changes. I know because I'm a different person. Like, the
Yeah, you and
neuroplasticity
many people
worked.
feel this way.
Yeah, that's amazing. But no,
Yeah.
I think it's more immediate. Absolutely, Jeremy. You sit down and you take a handful of shrooms, you're going to have an immediate experience, whatever that's going to be. And if you have the intention of like, I'm doing this to step outside of myself, like you're going to have that experience. I think they're alive. Like it's a plant. It's living, breathing. It's they kind of experience you. Mushrooms are going to
Absolutely. And
experience
I
you.
I also want to point out, like, so I've done some microdosing where
Yeah.
I took a very small amount and I felt it. And it was
Did you really?
really strange to me, where I was
Yeah.
like, wow, are these getting more potent? Is this from me having this built up in my
In your
system that
system.
it like just activated
Yeah.
already um, present molecules that are in
Yeah.
me? But I do feel like if you're taking a small amount and feeling it at all, it would
Yeah.
make sense to me that some of those measurable benefits are happening.
Happens.
And
Yeah.
so I encourage people to do microdosing, even
Yeah.
though that was part of our documentary.
Yeah.
And I think that people that say anecdotally that they get so much benefit from it,
Yeah.
that's not meaningless. I think that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. And don't get me wrong, I had a handful of situations where, maybe I went too many doses during the week. I would do like 4 days on, 3 days off, or 3 days on, 4 days off. There were times that like I would feel bizarre, like I was not in the room. It'd be a very short moment, and I'd be like, what the heck is happening? Like the floor would be out from under me. Or, we got into an elevator one day and we're in Las Vegas, and it's like everything was just kind of closing in on me, and I'm like, what is happening? I didn't feel like I could walk on the carpet. So like little things would come up, and that's when I knew, I'm like, okay, let's go back to 3 days on, 4 days off, or take a break, because I thought it's just building up. And I'm not having a great time if I'm having that tripping experience. So
Sure,
that was
yeah. A
my
lot
little
of that
sign.
is like you have to be in the right environment,
Yeah.
and then it also kind of leans into some of these concepts in the UFO world, where they're talking about when you are able to communicate with spirits or entities, or astral project, or do a lot
Yes.
of these like really far out things. It involves like saying like you're giving into the universe and
Yeah.
kind of like saying whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The moments that I've felt that way have been on psychedelics. So uh, I encourage people to try and experience those kind of
Yeah,
things.
for sure. Um, yeah, I think that's amazing. It's an amazing conversation. What is the big thing that you're working on now? What's your big next project?
We should have a bunch of alternative medicine projects that are coming out. I did just release a second part of that brainwashing and mind reading series that we were doing. And I just put out a story about the Raelians, who are basically a UFO cult. And they may have confessed to human cloning during that whole project. So that's a fun one. I also just shot some stuff at Contact in the Desert, and I plan to be working on some animal rehabilitation stories.
That sounds fabulous. I want to go back to they actually confessed finally, like someone said it out loud that we're cloning people.
Yeah, basically, like there's a moment in the documentary, and I'll just spoiler it right now, where he's like kind of explaining to me how someone that was a Raelian made a human clone and then kind of had to go underground because it became illegal in France. And then they're not working on that anymore, obviously, because they're not going to jail. Then
Right.
he started explaining to me how it's not that controversial of a thing. And here's exactly how it all works. And then I said to him, it sounds like what you're telling me is there's a clone walking around right now. And he said to me, more than one.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that is true. I do. We know they didn't just clone a sheep and walk away from the project. Like we know that for a fact. I think we're all smart enough to say like, you know, I
That's
mean,
basically what he was saying.
yeah, it's wild to me. And I think, I've gone down a rabbit hole ton because I wear a tinfoil hat. I go down the rabbit holes, I pull the strings. I'm like, this is so interesting. Um, yeah, there's a lot of things they say they don't do that we know they've continued to do. And it's out there. And I think it's gonna just keep coming out slowly. So I love that you're out here telling the truth. That's amazing. Um, Back to my audience so we can wrap this up today. What would you say to someone, Jeremy, who's listening right now and they just feel completely trapped by their past and their mistakes and their trauma?
Oh, you got to learn to appreciate yourself. So I went through a period of time where my cannabis events had ended and I was soul searching. And that's during the time when I became a documentarian. There's a long period of time where I was doing nothing and I had no purpose. And I didn't know what my future was going to be like. And so, having lost my previous direction and everything that I had worked on, you feel really empty and through doing all of that, I started learning what got me out of that. So I learned that I couldn't be telling myself bad things about me or
Mm-hmm.
having anybody else that I was hanging around telling me negative things about me all the time. And I learned that I had to do things that were hard, do things that were scary, be in nature, get dirty, all kinds of stuff that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I learned to kind of look back at my life with gratitude and use some of these mindfulness techniques that I had learned about. And all of those things kind of teach you to appreciate yourself. And through doing all of that stuff, it's not like an immediate cure,
Yeah.
but by practicing doing that stuff every day and then making progress and kind of having success in your life and more positivity and all of that stuff, it just builds and builds, and then you'll eventually find yourself out of that depression. And so I just encourage people to learn how to be grateful and learn how to deal with all of those things.
I love that. And gratitude is what flips the switch instantly. Like you can't be sad and thankful at the same time. It's a wild thing. How can people follow you? How can they get resourced so they can see all of your work and what's coming next?
My website is called theskyisland.com, and there you can find all my social media links. My email is on there, so that's how you would contact me or any of those sort of things. And I make little behind the scenes reels and shorts all the time on social media. And then there's also a link to my book, which is about my scary times getting home invaded
Mm.
and robbed and doing all the things in the cannabis industry. And then I also have my films. So that's in my filmography. IMDb will be links to all the streaming platforms that they're on. So that'd be Amazon or Apple TV or any of those streaming platforms. And then there's a separate thing for YouTube. Uh, that link will take you to most of my movies. They're not all on one YouTube channel either. So you might need to search around.
Search a little.
Exactly. We do revenue sharing with other channels. So all the most popular ones get picked up by other YouTube channels. And so I have most of the links on there. But if you're looking for any of the ones that are on IMDb and you can't find them on the YouTube thing, you might have to search around.
Sounds good. Jeremy, this is the part of the show where I'm going to tell you what I think makes you special. And it's not the awards, it's not the documentaries, it's not the crazy stories. I mean, you've lived an epic life. But it's that you've lived enough life to stop pretending because you've seen the success, you've seen the mistakes, you've seen the chaos, you've seen the consequences. And instead of hiding from those chapters, you've turned them into incredible lessons. The stories you tell today aren't just entertainment. I feel like you're presenting evidence that people can evolve. that people can rebuild. And the fact that we share a message that everybody has a story, and your story, it's not about it being more important or more fancy or bring fireworks. It is that it has a story, and every story connects to someone. And I think that's beautiful. Um, you're in this to show that people are more than the worst thing that they've done. I think that's incredible. I'm excited to check out some of your work. To everyone listening, your past is not your prison unless you keep living there. Every person has chapters that they're proud of, and I think we all have chapters that we wish we could forget. But the growth happens when you're willing to learn from both. God doesn't waste pain, He doesn't waste people. So be honest, be courageous, and remember that your mess is your message. Even the mistakes, even the bad decisions, even the seasons where you're completely lost, those chapters may become the very thing that help someone else find their own way. So if this episode spoke to you, do me a favor, share this out. Share this out for Jeremy to help get his work out, get his message out. There's someone out there that needs it that we can't reach without you. And you guys know, if you're ready for the hot seat, I dare you to come tell me why you're special. Jeremy, this was so great. Thank you so much for serving my audience today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.